This episode of the Wedding Playbook podcast is proudly sponsored by MuMu Maidstone, your ultimate destination for cocktails, cabaret, and the ultimate nightlife. If you're planning an engagement party, anniversary celebration, or any private event, MuMu offers one of the coolest nightclubs that you can hire exclusively. It's vibrant, stylish, and the perfect way to celebrate love in style. And one of the best parts about MuMu, in my opinion, is that not only do you get your own exclusive nightclub to celebrate with your family and friends, but you also get an incredible food menu, including real Neapolitan style pizzas that are really worth talking about. Are you ready to get your party started? Give MuMu a call today or get in touch on their website www.mumuexperience.com. And don't forget to quote the Wedding Playbook to secure your event for £100. That's right, just £100 will get your dream party venue locked in. A huge thank you to MuMu Maidstone for supporting the podcast. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
The man, the myth, the legend.
In your own words.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck knows what anybody else says. And disclaimer, maybe if you're not in a bad language and the word do, mate, forget it. You might want to turn this off right now.
It's actually in his inquiry form as well. Stephen.
Morning, fella. How we doing?
Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. Nice to be on.
Finally.
It's been a little while, dude, hasn't it?
Were you actually meant to be the first guest?
Well, was I really?
Well, we spoke about it, didn't we? We
Well,
were the first guest.
Yeah, mate, do you know what? It's just life gets in the way, doesn't it? Family life, work, and what have you. Mate, I think it's wicked what you're doing, dude.
Thanks, man.
To see it. Do you know what? I think it's, mate, hats off to you, dude. To see it go from, an idea to where it is now. It's killer, mate. Well done.
Mate, it was so weird because obviously we were at Declan the other day, and I had a couple come up to me. They were like standing off to the side, and then once I finished speaking to whoever I was speaking to, they come up and went, "Are you the guy that does the podcast?" And I went, yeah. I went, "Do you watch it?"
Celebrity.
Yeah, I felt like, "Do you want me to sign something?" She goes, I went, "Do you watch it?" She goes, yeah, we love it. And he said that they were driving back from Cornwall a few days earlier.
Right.
And instead of listening to music, they listened to a couple of the podcasts. So I was like, what a nice feeling. Like, because it looks like it's a lot of suppliers that watch, which is great because it's great for suppliers as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to actually see people enjoy it and people that I don't know as well.
Yeah, mate, I think there's a couple of things, I think there's layers to it. I think, you get to find out a little bit more about, obviously we know all the faces in the industry.
Yeah.
But it's lovely because you get, there's that extra bit where you get to find out a little bit more about that individual. And I think, podcasts in general, I I'll watch a couple myself, that are not wedding related, but they're great. They're like just something you can stick on in the background. And as you say, road trip, it's perfect, right? A couple of hours just to, just take it in as you en route, so to speak. But yeah, mate, it's wicked. It's great what you're doing, dude. It's nice to be here to support it as well, and great to be on the show, mate. So
yeah, man, finally get to showcase the bald barber.
The man, the myth, the legend.
In your own words.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck knows what anybody else says. And disclaimer, maybe if you're not in a bad language and the word do, forget it. You might want to turn this off right now.
It's actually in his inquiry form as well. So tell us a bit about yourself and what it is you do.
So, wedding photographer. I'm into what will be my 11th year this year, mate. So,
wow.
It's...
and you're like 56 this year as well, aren't you? It's crazy. Looking good for it though, man.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. 44 years young, mate. I look about 20, but that's, it's just good genes, right?
I've also got to say, the amount of phone calls that we have where you're buzzing your head.
Yeah. I'm a regular shaver, mate. Yeah, I don't really too long.
Really frustrates me.
There's no danger of it getting too long either. So,
and you ain't going to be distracted by your looks on a wedding day.
So 11 years now, mate. This is the 11th. Just been shooting weddings, primarily weddings, mate, all that time. Done a little bit of commercial work, but mostly weddings. A few dogs. Yeah.
Which everyone has to get past to get into the podcast.
Yeah, mate, he's lovely. It's mate, and I'm dog mad, and he's actually probably one of the only dogs I've never stroked, mate. Which is I
mean, there is good reason for that.
But family man. A new dad, mate. 20-month-old daughter.
Mate, she's awesome as well.
Mate, but do you know what? Best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Hands down, mate. And, you know, there's, you know, you could probably reel off a handful of stuff that I'm really, really proud of, you know, starting the business, you know, doing lots of different bits and pieces along the way, mate. But she is the icing on the cake for me, mate. And really my driving force now for everything I do, mate, you know, for the way I work, and, you know, just it's massive responsibility as well. But mate, it's the best thing ever, mate.
Absolutely.
The best thing, mate.
It's also another great testament to the wedding industry as well, because you had Remley in August.
Yeah.
Which is mental.
Yeah,
but
bad timing that.
Everyone grouped together for you though, man. Even like I'm a videographer, and even I was willing to jump in and take a few photos for you.
Yeah, do you know what? I hats off, mate. There were a few people, mate, that I called round to that, you know, put themselves out to cover just in case. I mean, that particular week, mate, was 7 weddings in 9 days.
I'm gutted. I'm gutted you missed Pat's.
Yeah. Tilt my hat to James Island there for jumping in on that one. Pat was lovely as well, mate. I would have loved to have shot that. Mate, it just is what it is. I mean, this is one thing. I mean, I'm a bit OCD. I like to sort of be in control of most of things if I can. But that stint, mate, was carnage for me, because babies come when they come, and to be in a place where I had all them weddings and I'd already arranged the cover with other talks just to make sure that I had things in place. The thought of never, I mean, mate, in 11 years, I've never missed a wedding. Yeah. So for me to know that I was never, there was a potential that I could, you know, might have missed 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. You know, because that's the other thing, you know, is it a straightforward pregnancy? Was there going to be complications? You just don't know, mate.
You never know if you're in there for a few hours or a few days.
Never again, dude. I used to have like long hair down to here, mate, until we got pregnant.
No, you didn't. Don't try and bullshit us.
When I was about 14, maybe 15. But yeah, mate, it's that was great, mate. And as you say, testament to the industry, right? Good people, all ready to step in and do their bit. And you know, you don't forget that, mate. I certainly don't. You know, anytime them boys need a favour, you know, I'm on the end of the phone, and you know, it's there to return it, mate. So it's it's great.
So the boys that covered need to knock up their wives and
Thankfully, James Island's had 2, mate. So Jimbo's, mate. I think he's done. So he's. I don't need to worry about Jimbo. But no, it's great, mate. And I think, do you know what? It's a funny industry, isn't it, mate? Full of lots of different faces, and I think, you know, there's some really good people.
Absolutely.
In our industry, mate. Really, really good people, and it's nice to rub shoulders with them, mate. You know, and they become more friends than work colleagues, you know. And it's the same with the venues, mate. Loads of people that I've met at venues, you know, it's not just a business relationship. It's a friendship. And mate, I'm very much a heart on sleeve kind of guy, you know. And I'm all about the relationship, not just with, you know, other suppliers and venues, but with the client as well,
man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I think that's the whole sort of pretense of why they book us, right? Is we're relatable, we're personable, and I mean, we get involved, right? We get involved in their big day, so that it don't feel like you're just another person that they've hired, another employee.
Mate, we are. I always sort of joke. It's like we're like your personal hype men.
Absolutely.
Right. We are. I want you to feel like you've got an old friend there. You know, someone that you can go. You know, Steve-O can have 10 more minutes, or, you know, be you. Swear loads, be you, mate. Mate, I've got the worst mouth in the world. You know, I swear too much. I'm a bit of a cheeky chap. I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's me though, right? And I ain't changing. I won't change that for anybody. That's me. And you buy into that when you look at photographers. I always say to couples, look, find a style that resonates with you, something that just grabs you, and you go, that's a bit of me. And then it's all about who you work with, mate. And if you feel comfortable already with that person. Stella and Prosecco definitely help bring down a layer of anxiety and maybe nerves on the day for the couple. And then it's all about how you deliver stuff, mate, to a client, you know, how you work. But
I think that calms people down a bit, to be honest. Because, I mean, even if, we get the couples that don't meet us face-to-face first, and the first physical meet is on the wedding day. Mm-hmm. And then you walk in, and we don't obviously walk in and go, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you, fuck that. We read the room, see how it's going to go. And if they're a bit too chill out, we say, like, come on, calm the fuck down. And it sort of breaks that wall down, doesn't it? That breaks down that barrier.
Mate, do you know what? I think the thing that you always have to have in the back of your mind is that a lot of these people, it's their first time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we do discounts if you come back, right? but you know, it's their first time.
You might, I don't.
Yes, you know, so these guys, you know, and I think the other thing as well is that people put so much into the planning, the small details, you know, the guest list.
Yeah.
I think a lot of couples probably overthink things, and you know, but we all do, right?
Yeah.
It's you know, we're all guilty of that. But I think on a wedding day, you know, you've got 2 years, 3 years to plan it.
Yeah.
So much time and energy goes into that, mate, that, you know, when they do come to the day, it does require someone like us to be able to sort of, you know, bring it down to sort of like a base level where they feel comfortable, and
bring it down
bring
to
a bit of
commoner
humour and
level.
yeah, mate. Because, you know, they at the end of the day, that, you know, that we all know, mate, that first part of the day, that prep bit, you know, the brides, I always joke, you know, to the guys, I always say, like, what's worse, the groom's speech or that walk down the aisle?
Yeah.
And you'll normally find that the girls would go, you know, oh, you know, probably the walk down the aisle. And you know, it's I get it, everybody's eyes on you, right? But
Yeah.
I always think for the speech, that's a tough one for the boys, because
Well, I mean, we've done a few weddings this year, and it's always let's hurry this up. Yeah, let's hurry this speech
I
up.
want to do it before dinner.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy my grub. Yeah, yeah. Which I think, you know, that has pros and cons. You know, maybe we can touch on in a bit, but that has pros and cons, doesn't it? Doing it that way round. But yeah, mate. It's one of them, isn't it? You know, it's just personality is a big one, mate. But yeah, sort of back to your original question, mate. I know I sort of went on a bit of a tangent there, but
all right.
yeah, family man, been doing this 11 years, mate, and yeah, extremely proud of what I do, mate. It's been mate, one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah,
starting weddings. Completely self-taught, so made a lot of mistakes along the way, but you know, it's
still are.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you know, in a good place now, solid business, you know, doing good numbers, and recommended it, mate. This year, the icing on the cake, really managed to get in with Glow Events, so Orangery Gardens, Western Hangar, and now Bilsington Priory, which is their new addition, isn't it, mate? And that's a massive one for me. So for me personally, I'm now recommended by, you know, any of them big venues that really meant something to me, and I'm really fortunate as well, mate, because I've got a great relationship with all of them. You know, so yeah, very lucky, mate.
That's nice.
It's been a long slog, mate, but we got there in the end. So
what got you into photography in the first place? Because I actually don't think I know this about you either,
mate. It's an interesting one, actually. So years ago, I did 10, 11 years in the paper industry.
I knew that because you worked with my mum.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So
we're not going to talk about my mum.
Yeah, this was before your mum. I thought we said we were leaving the mum jokes out of this. So years ago, mate. Long story short.
Sorry, mum. I know you watch these shows.
Janie, we love you. Mate, going back to where it all started, really, there was a sales guy that used to come in. I used to work for a company that used to make hand towels, J-cloths, all that kind of stuff. And salesman used to come in called Ray Flanagan. He was a lovely guy, mate. Sausage roll and a green kind of geezer. He was a really good guy. And the company, mate, it all went tits up. The company folded, and everybody went separate ways. And I stayed in touch with Ray, and he was into photography. And he was selling some gear, and he was selling a Nikon D200 and a Nikon D300. And mate, I had no idea what I was buying. But it's really weird. Like, prior as a kid, my mum and dad had, like, you know, the classic film camera.
Yeah.
And I remember finding this thing in the cupboard, no film in it, but just winding it back and looking through it, clicking it, and you know, it was
fun noise.
Yeah, it was just really cool. And so I guess there was like this nostalgia from my youth that sort of made me think, because I never did photography at school or anything like that, and I just sort of thought, you know, there's something about this that I'm drawn to. And I said to Ray, look, you know, I'll buy the D200 with a lens. I bought it off him, and I didn't realise what I'd bought, but it was a pro camera.
Yeah.
I mean, mate, it was like hand Canon.
Yeah.
You compare it to mirrorless cameras these days, I mean, it was fucking almighty.
Well, I remember going from my Canon 750D to my Canon 5D Mark III, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, huge camera, mate. Especially stick 7200 on it as well.
Yeah.
2.8 all the way through. Mate, it's
no wonder why you got the guns you've
got. Mate, you did. These weren't for free, mate.
He was a little weed before you started. So I've only got about 5 years before mine come in.
Yeah, Pup might use his spinach, mate. Just get yourself a D200, mate. You'll be fine. But yeah, so the D200, mate, I cut my teeth with that. Really, I was taking pictures of the dog, pictures of flowers in the garden. Like, I just was taking pictures of everything. And I then moved into the printer industry, which is where I met your mum.
Yeah. It sounds like you're my dad.
And so I remember speaking to Janie and I was speaking to some other people, and I used to go in and service these printers every month. And over a period of time, you get to know people and what they're all about. And I remember walking in one day, and the girls already knew that I was into photography, and it was something I was quite keen on. And she said, "Look, my niece is getting married. Would you shoot the wedding?" And mate, it was one of them like baptism of fire moments where I was like, "Yeah, all right, I'll do it." Mate, I didn't want to, but I did it, and I went and did 200 quid. It was, and I never forget it, mate. It was at Ramsgate Registry Office. Only a small wedding, 40 people, something like that. But that was the bit that hooked me, mate. It's quite funny, really. So there's two bits to this wedding. The first part was the registry office. Mate, I could have done with one of them tennis headbands, that the tennis players wear. And mate, I was dripping with sweat. I was super anxious, and the wedding went really well, mate. But there was a moment where after the ceremony we did confetti, and they come down the old through confetti, and I nailed this shot. Her dad was really ill, mate. He had cancer, MS, some other bits and pieces. He was a really frail guy, and he was in a wheelchair. And I got this shot where, as she came through the confetti, I think it might have been near the end of the confetti, she came down and she sort of grabbed his face, either side of his face, and it was like a father-daughter moment.
Yeah.
And I remember nailing it, and unfortunately he passed away a couple of years later. But I always remember thinking that moment,
got that.
yeah, was captured, and she probably looks back on that, and that means
well, it's more than just weddings, isn't it? It's lifetime worth of memories. I mean, I did a wedding a couple of years ago, and the bride messaged me, I think last year. Her dad had unfortunately passed away. He was only young, and she asked if I could put a little memorial video together for him, mixed with like some of their photos. And
nice.
Fortunately, I had a load of footage of him, so it was really easy. But it's so lovely that they can now remember in other ways.
Yeah, mate, I've always said this. There's something about video, mate, that I can't give a couple. I can nail a moment, and you might catch Dad's mannerisms or his smile and his quirks. But mate, I always say this to people when people say, "Shall I have video?" I'm like, "I do it," because
I say if you can't afford me, go get someone.
Yeah, mate, I always go back to like Dad, right? If your dad's still there, if you're lucky enough to have your parents still there, and Dad gets up to do his speech, and you can look back on that in years to come, and you can see Dad having the crack, and his mannerisms and his voice, and hearing all that. Mate, what price do you put on that?
Well, how many videos do you have of people talking now? Like, and it's so weird because you've got a video camera right there on your phone, and you could get any moment you want. But like when Nan passed, like we were trying to find things of Nan, and like we didn't really have an awful lot. So it's why don't we have an awful lot?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? In an age where everything's recorded. I mean, mate, you see two people fighting in the street, and instead of someone intervening, they decide to record it these days.
Well, yeah, we got to go viral somehow, man.
Them TikTok followings up. Yeah,
made media on a Saturday night.
But yeah, I think certainly that moment that I captured with her dad was mates. Something clicked for me there. But that wedding, mate, we went on to the reception, which was on the end of the Margate Harbour Arm, and there was a pub at the end. And I did this group shot. I got on some steps and I shot down, got everybody in the group. And I'll never forget it. There was this guy there. He was absolutely battered, mate, and he was trying to fish off the pier. It was obviously one of the local faces, and he was trying to fish. And he obviously had his line in a actually, I don't even think he had line on the reel, mate. I think he just had line on the reel. But in the end, I asked him if he could move to somewhere. I asked him if he could move to one side just so I could get the group in, mate, and it all kicked off. And I thought I was going to end up having to fight the guy because I was like 200
Hit him
quid.
with your Nikon.
Yeah, with my hand cannon, bosh. But yeah, mate, and that was. I think that was where it all started for me. That's what got me hooked, mate, because I realised then that it was about that raw moment with her dad.
Yeah,
and I think the fact that he's working with people, and mate, we say this all the time, dude. When you work with people, like for me, I'm very much a people person. I know you are as well. And I think when you work with people and you get connection, and you can, mate, sometimes it don't even feel like work, right?
It's like a high, isn't it? Once you really like, because I mean, we've both worked with, we've both had couples that are maybe not quite our couple, and they can't. I don't know. It's harder to break certain couples down, but when you get that couple that are your people, and that you can get them being themselves, we can be ourselves. It's just like a well-oiled machine, isn't it? And it runs so effortlessly that it doesn't even feel like we're working.
Yeah, mate. Connection with couples is massive, mate. It's a really big part of what we do. I actually think it's king. I think it's more important than the actual product itself, because I think that is, almost something that we just do. Whereas the
It's
relationship
like that's something you
bit,
can't learn, isn't it? Like there's something you've got, like person skills,
yeah, it's a huge
people skills.
it's
I
huge.
haven't got many other skills.
It's a big part of what we do, mate. And I think I think that when we work together, certainly. I mean, mate, we had it at Winter Sparns, didn't we?
Yeah.
On Friday, where the groom, as part of his speech, massive
Charlie,
shout out to us.
shout out.
Yeah, thank you.
It was actually
guys.
really nice. I've just edited their speeches yesterday, and it was so nice. Like, because we don't do it to expect a thank you during speeches. That's their moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's lovely if we get a thanks Joe, thanks Steve for doing what you do. But the fact that he took a good couple of minutes out of his speech to just talk about us was like it just goes to show, doesn't it, that it's not just photo and video.
No, mate, and I think it's a really difficult thing. I think when you market yourself, I think it's a really hard thing to get across, because you could go onto my website and you could go, great images. I can see the guy's a family man, and he's he's he likes coffees, fitness, and he likes to he's he tries to surf, he can't, but he enjoys it. You get to know a little bit about me, but what you don't, you know what it's like, right? I think when you meet someone, realistically within a minute or two, you know whether or not you're going to vibe.
Yeah.
And I think. And that's why the wedding shows are great, mate. When we're at the wedding shows, you get to meet people face to face.
Yeah.
And I would much rather. I think this is what's really nice, mate. When you're at a place where we're at, where we're busy, we're established. If you get someone come up to you that is maybe not quite your bag,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, mate. It's easy to say just book me and it's a payday, but when you're busy enough, it's almost like, I'd rather turn that away and say, look, I'm not right for you.
If you keep doing that, you're not going to enjoy your job.
Yeah, well, and I think the other thing is as well, mate, we do this week in, week out. For them, it's one day.
Yeah.
They get to, and I would rather it be right for them, and they choose the right people, than, just go through the motions. Because I think the difference between you having a great footage or photography and maybe your bit with, your bit with the photographer or videographer was just okay, against Charlie and Charlotte that we had at last week, where mate, everything clicked, right? They vibed off of us, and we were all like pals.
Yeah.
And then they obviously, they're going to get the awesome stuff anyway, and so that as an experience for them and for us is what it's all about, mate.
Stellar, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, mate.
So, mate, talk to us about your style. I mean, we all know that you're the flash wizard.
Yeah.
Self-titled, I think that was as well,
mate.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it's funny what you get known for, isn't it, mate, in the industry? I mean, my style, I would say creative documentary.
Yeah.
And if I split that into two, I would say the documentary part is, I'm there to document your day. I'm not there to, to...
I think there's different meanings of documentary sort of style photography at the moment, isn't there? Like this heavy direct flash, which, mate, if you're good at it, it looks amazing. But I think the crux of that meaning is you document the day. So it's not just all these epic shots that you see. It's all them nice, like you said, with the dad and the reveals,
the moments, mate. Yeah, definitely. It's same for you, man. It's like that. I mean, the way that we work, it's funny, isn't it? Because when I say creative documentary, I think the documentary part is we're there to capture moments.
Yeah.
The only time we really get to grips with you is things like your groups and your couple stuff. But we are also there as like your hype buddies, your friends, where you could say, guys, can we try this? Can we try the other? And I think the creative part, mate, is the bit that we love as well, which is where you're always pushing to be different, to create something that separates you from the pack. And I think, truth be told, mate, is part of the job satisfaction for us.
Well, as well as like we don't want to do the same stuff every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how often do you get the same venue a couple of days 2-3 days in a row, or 2-3 weddings in a row, and you're like, you want to blow your brains out a little bit because you want something a bit new, but then you sit there and go, no, I'm just going to do something new here.
That's double-edged sword, mate. That so Cooling Castle, right? Great venue, been shot to death because it's so popular.
Yeah.
And if you look at something like the castle turrets at the front, everybody wants that shot.
Yeah.
But as a photographer, videographer, you've done it a million times. So you sort of have to go...
It's sort of 50-50, isn't it? You give the couple what they want.
Yeah.
But then they've got to be open to allow you to do what you want.
Maybe trying something new. Yeah.
Same with ferry house. Like everyone wants the shot down at the pier, but I always say first, let's get in the car. We'll drive up the driveway. Depending on the time of year, you've got like rapeseed, you've got the cornfield, you've got so much beauty up there, and the sun starts there. The sunset starts there. So by the time you finish there and you get down to the pier, you've got that beautiful golden hour. So like that payoff is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, creativity, mate, is one of them things, mate. It's so vast, mate, because there's some people. I mean, mate, there's other people in the industry, aren't there? That they're like the Heston Blumenthal's, right, mate? The photography video world, they do stuff that's just like off the chain.
Yeah,
and you're just like, wow, and that's just that, mate. That's either in you or it's not. If you've got creativity in your blood, then it comes. You can see things. It comes a bit more organic than you having to sort of go and find it, so to speak. So yeah, creative documentary, mate. That's pretty much me. Just there to, mate, make your day as fun as possible. Document it as it was without interrupting too much, and giving you some killer stuff for the wall at home.
So let's talk about the flash stuff.
Yeah.
What made you start to go? Because mate, I don't want to like kiss your ass too much, but some of the stuff you do with flash is just outrageous, and I think I tell everyone it pisses me off so much because I can't emulate that in video. Because I'd love to be able to take the inspiration from you and what you do, but it's near on impossible. Like, it'd be better now we've got the rotor lights, but
mate, it's tough for video for things like that because you whereas we capture a frame. You obviously can't do that.
It's got to be like them flashes are quite a bit more powerful as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so flashes, mate. It's one of them things. Like when I started, it was being used not as much as it is now. But I was really fortunate, mate. I got flash early and understood it, and I think because I'm a bit of a creative at heart anyway, the two really work well together. And I think you start to, over the years, you start to understand where you can use it, what you can use it for. And mate, I love it. I think it's something that, truth be told, mate, years ago, I actually felt like it was what I was known for.
Yeah.
And it bugged me out a little bit because I was like, that's really cool, but I'm more than just a guy that does cool night shots. Like, I'm there to document your day. When we do couple stuff and the way that that's delivered, all of that kind of stuff is what you're investing in. And so it's the whole thing, not just flash. But yeah, flash is something that, mate, I think when a lot of people see my portfolio, they see flash. Mate, it's almost an extension of your arm with your creativity as well.
I mean, just some of that stuff, man. I mean, you see a lot of people, whether they're, I don't know, taking inspiration from you or they're just wanting to take a crack at it, and it looks good. But mate, I think I remember we were at the Knoll. I can't remember the couple, but you shot them up against the tree.
Yeah.
In the daytime.
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was. Mate.
Don't matter. Yeah. Sorry if you watched.
I know the guys. Yeah.
It was broad daylight. It was like 3:00. You stood them up against the tree, put a couple of flashes around, bang, and it looked like it was pitch black, and you've backflashed them. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
like,
that was a killer shot. That
looks,
the Knoll love that. Kelly always says about that shot. She's like, she says, you're going to do that one again, and I'm like, I've already done it. But I could do. I know it works. But yeah, it's. Do you know what I think? I think the thing with flash photography is that it's great to see that more and more people are using it, because I think it's an essential part of your arsenal, mate.
Yeah.
If you're a photographer and you're just natural light, I don't honestly, mate.
How many venues do you go to where it is too dark and you've then got to bump the ISO and then it's grainy and it don't look as crisp?
Yeah, mate. I think. And this is, mate, and we've had these conversations, right? When couples are looking at, I'll always say to a couple, look, when you're looking at photographers, make sure that you've got someone that is flash competent, because if it rains, if it's a dark venue, it's a winter wedding, twilight weddings, they're more and more popular now. If you don't know how to use flash, mate,
put yourself in the bin.
Good luck, because there's only so much ISO is going to get you out of trouble, So,
these cameras are coming along leaps and bounds, but. Say you'd rather keep it a clean ISO and not have to worry about it too much in post.
Yeah, mate, even down to things like group shots, right? Like how many photographers I see that and each their own, right? But for me personally, like if I'm going to do it properly, I'm going to light you with flash for catch lights in your eyes for your group photos, but certainly don't. And it's like, if you've got shadows or the sun ain't in the right place, and you know you're just relying on.
Why do you think it is? Why do you think people aren't using flash? Is it like a laziness thing, an
I
expense
think people
thing?
are scared of it. I think
Yeah.
it's people just don't understand it, mate. You know, I think that's what it boils down to. I think
Yeah.
it's once you understand, it's like anything, mate, isn't it? You know,
It's a totally different. Because I mean, obviously, doing video, like I'm just now in the last couple of years getting grips to light in a situation. Whether it like I mean, like the podcast. I mean, with floodlights here, but it's a whole new thing to learn because you've got to learn what the angles are, how bright you need to go, and this, that, yeah. It's a whole new extension of photography that you need to learn. So it's tough, man.
Do you know what? At the end of the day, photo and video, a massive part of it is all about lighting.
Yeah.
You know, fundamentally, it's about lighting, and you know, if you're in a place where you can manipulate light, mate, you're sort of bending the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
You're bending it to your will, and I think that's where flash, when you understand how it works, and you can, we've done some really cool stuff, mate, haven't we?
Yeah,
You know, we did some at Winters actually, where we did a little bit with flash,
Yeah.
and just created our own stuff, and you know, that's magic, mate. That's something that I think, again, when couples are investing in you as a supplier, when you're able to do that, it almost doesn't carry enough weight when you put a price tag on it, because you know, they don't, you know, they just want nice photos. But when you say, look, you know, whether it's grey skies, sunny, raining, whatever, snowing, twilight wedding, I'm still going to give you killer shots.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody can do that unless you're flash competent. So, you know, encourage, you know, every photographer to learn it, mate. You know,
great tip for couples as well
even if it's just that you're giving people quality work, right? Because you should be lighting some things.
Well, I mean, if you're charging what a lot of people are charging now, and you're not using flash, just seems a bit silly, doesn't it? Seems like a bit like you're not being able to give the best you can give.
Yeah, mate. I mean, mate, you go open Pandora's box with the whole lighting thing.
We're doing another episode.
It's a big one, but yeah, mate. Yeah, so yeah, competent with it, love it, really enjoy it, mate. And you know, I actually think that it gives you a level of, like, you know, that job satisfaction. But you know, when you go back on camera and you go, mate, that's the one. Or that set of shots that they're going to love them. And I think you walk away like strutting a little bit, because you know that they're going to love it, and you've got that. I'd say this is probably one of the only jobs that I've ever done where I get some job satisfaction
immediately.
Yeah, mate, it's special. It really is. And yeah, that's part of it, mate. I think, you know, it gives you a little bit of that.
Awesome. This episode is sponsored by Kingstown Rings, your go-to for beautifully handcrafted wedding rings made right here in the UK. Whether you're after a classic gold band, something a little bit more unique, or even custom designs, Laura and Hayley are the dream team that will help you find the perfect fit. They believe that your wedding rings should be just as special as your vows, and trust me, they'll make the whole process feel just as special. Head over to www.kingsdownrings.co.uk to book your free consultation and start your forever with something truly timeless. So how do you make sure that every wedding you're bringing the energy for the couple? Because I think that's important. If you like, I mean, we meet at the fairs and you're bringing the energy at the fairs, and then you show up to the wedding, you're a bit dull and a bit like, you can't have an off day, really, can you?
Mate, do you know what? I think it's a tough question, that, mate. But I think to answer it as best I could, I'd probably say it's just who you are as a personality. You know, like, you know, you sort of, at the end of the day, you know, these guys have booked you. You know, you've got to turn up, mate. You know, and that's not just, you know, your personality, but you know, with your you know, your technical head on as well. Am I going to light it? Where am I going to put my cameras and all that kind of stuff? Mate, you're the same as me, right? You just want to make sure that every time you give it 110% and you give them the best you can give them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what's really important. And so part of that energy, it all stems from that, dude. I think
there's something wrong in my brain anyway. Well, no, I'm being tested anyway for it. But Shanice will tell, like, if Shanice comes and helps people at the fair, she will say, like, this is not an act. This, what you see is what you get. He's like it at home as well. He's an idiot, which is nasty, I know. But it's the exact same. I can finish three weddings in a row and come home like buzzing off of it, and I still can't get to sleep because I'm like, I want to dick around a bit now.
It's personality, mate.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, and I think going back, mate, you know, to what we said earlier, I think it's such a big part of when people are looking at book suppliers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing you're guaranteed, mate. If you're booking us for photo and video,
Yeah.
you are guaranteed banter. It's
Absolutely.
just how it is. And you know, we will, mate, I've had it before. You know, I've worked with, you know, guys in the past doing video, and you know, lovely, but on a different level personally.
Yeah.
And you can sort of feel like you know there's not that synergy of sort of creativity and you know that level of energy that you know that we certainly bring, you know.
I mean, we I say to, but we're good friends outside the industry as well.
Yeah.
And there's only a couple of suppliers that I can say that I'm friends with outside the industry, but I think me and you, like, we created a really good bond years ago now. I mean, pre-COVID, I did my first wedding. I did photos.
Yeah, Hayne House, wasn't it?
No, Ferry House.
Or was it Ferry House?
Ferry
Okay,
House,
right.
and it was for my friend's sister, and I don't think we knew each other an awful lot then. And I remember calling you and asking, we're doing sparkler shot. How do I flash it?
Was you doing photos?
I did. It was my one and only wedding where I've done photos.
Okay, yeah.
And I will
never on flash stuff.
I will never ever do it again. But I think the flash stuff is your fault.
Yeah.
I mean, again, at that point, I was doing like fitness photography and other sorts of photography. So the only wedding photographer that I was really following was you, and I don't actually know how we met. So yours was the only wedding photos that I had sort of like seen. So I was like, oh, that's how it's meant to be done.
Yeah.
So I went and bought a couple of dodgy flashes. And yeah, I was like, I remember ringing you like, hurry up. How do I do this?
Mate, I remember Lakey, Claire Lake.
Yeah.
She messaged, she was like, look, I've got a guy, Joe, he's getting into it, you know, can you help him out a little bit? Mate, and it just went from there, bro.
Yeah, so we'll blame her.
Yeah, blame Lakey.
But yeah, my first actual wedding was photography, and I hated it.
Right.
I absolutely hate. Like, they loved it, which was great. But then I think it was just before COVID. I did my first video and was with you at Hayne House.
Right.
And mate, I still watch back on that video now, and
do you cringe a bit?
Yeah.
Because you come on so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you all got to start somewhere, right? And the guys loved it, which is awesome. And for my very first video, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But I had no gimbal. I had one Sony A7 III with a kit lens.
Yeah.
I had to borrow my buddy's camera and tripod to film the ceremony. And I did it for a memory card because I didn't realise at the time that the Sonys, that you can't just shoot on normal £20 memory cards. You can for photos, but for video, if you want to get like the slow-mo or the 4K, you need higher meg read and write. So I was like, look, just buy me one card, which is like 120 quid or something, and I'll do your wedding. So she did. And then it took me a year to realise, right, maybe I should be dual saving. So I was like, I should probably buy another card. But that was my one and only wedding, and then COVID hit. Right. So I had obviously had plans to like start building that side of things, and I was like, oh, there's no point now, and so we just sort of waited until COVID passed.
Mate, I love what you've done, mate, to you know, to sort of help you out, get that leg up initially, and to see you go from, mate. And we had this conversation before, mate. It tilt me out, like when you're sacrificing, dude. You were finishing one job, going to a wedding,
finishing night shifts. And well, we did Chloe and Edwards, and I'd literally finish a night shift in like Broadstairs.
Yeah.
Run home, drop the dog off. I already had my camera kit, and then where was that? Was at London Golf Club, wasn't it? So it was at their house around the corner.
Yeah.
And I got there at 6 a.m. I had like an hour's nap in the car before we started shooting. So
that's right, yeah, because yeah.
And I was editing in my van, on my lap on a shitty computer. So yeah, mate, it's a massive turnaround now, and
we sacrificed a lot to get there, mate.
Yeah,
that's what I think. Mate, you know, I think we're quite the same, right? Academically, you probably didn't do great at school, right? But practically,
yeah,
mate.
I mean, you can just tell that we're not educated when you just talk to us.
Straight out of Medway. Yeah, I think, mate, when you apply yourself to something and you sacrifice in those days, weeks, months, you know, years to craft
Yeah.
you know, and carve it out, mate, you know, and look at where you are now, right? You know, it just becomes, you know, it's like anything, mate. You know, you want to go to the gym and you want to, you know, you got to, you know, you got to eat right. You got to be consistent with your training. It's that kind of level of thing,
Yeah.
mate. And that's what you've done, mate. You know, you've put that time in, and mate, I've done exactly the same. I remember when I started, I was doing a 50. Mate, I was in a sales job. Fucking hated it. I was good at it, but hated it. And I was doing 50-hour week, shooting at the weekends, editing in the evenings, and mate, I was it's all I did, mate,
Yeah.
for over a year. And then I did a Detlin wedding show, and I managed to get enough bookings to you know, get rid of the old job, and that was that, mate. And I never looked back after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, it's great to see, mate. But mate, I can't even remember what the original question was there, mate. What we were talking about, but yeah, you know, as I say, tilt me out, mate, because it takes a lot. You have to sacrifice a lot to get there, mate. And
Yeah.
you're there now.
And I actually do want to just say thank you to you, because you have helped me out massively, and Lakey, but I'll save that for our episode. But yeah, mate, without you, I don't think I'd be where I am now. I'll be totally honest. I mean, you've helped me with contracts. You helped me with, I mean, you gave me your Mac form code,
Yeah,
which I still use at the minute.
yeah.
And mate, any questions? If we weren't as like good friends as we are, I think I would have annoyed the fuck out of you, calling you every 5 minutes, going, "How do I do this?"
Do you know what, mate? Mate, I mean, it goes without saying, dude. I mean, you know, I think, mate, and we've had this conversation as well. You know, like I think legit people in this industry that you know and you trust, and you've got that understanding, that loyalty.
Yeah,
Mate, it's massive for me. It's a really big thing, and I think, you know, I knew, mate, when we met and we got to know each other, that you know, you were solid. And
yeah,
so, mate, I had no qualms in helping you along. And do you know what? It's nice to help other people along. You know, it's really nice. I was at Detlin on Saturday, and I had a bride come up. I heard her walk past. She see the banner, and she went, "Yeah, Steve Barber, that's the guy." And I finished speaking to another couple, spun around. I was like, "Hi guys, you know, how can I help?" And they were like, "You come highly recommended by 2 other photographers here."
Oh, awesome.
And I was like, "Oh, really? That's all?" Because most photographers are like, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah,
I want to try and win this job. But it was obviously two guys there that Will Burville and James at White Rose.
Yeah.
Both them guys, I've helped them both out in the past. And it just goes to show, mate, doesn't it, that, you know, they'll help you out, and they're legit guys, and I think that's really nice, mate. I'm all about that.
I mean, after like my last episode with Tell, you can tell that there are some really legit people in this industry, and they're the ones that you want to keep around. But then there are a lot of like snakes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You just
That's
got to be
people though,
cautious
bro.
where you tread, you know. And it's but you know the good people, and you know who you want around.
Mate, shout out to Tell, because, mate, I don't know if you know this, but when I was doing the printers, I remember, mate, I was at Chatham Walden Partners, and I was speaking to a guy called John, and Tell had just shot his wedding.
Right.
And I got talking to John, and John was like, "Mate, I'll speak to Tell, because he's always looking for good guys. He might be able to give you a bit of work." And sure enough, he connected the dots. I went up to see Tell, met all the boys, Connor, Luke, Paige, Dan. They were all working for Tell at the time. And Tell gave me an opportunity to come and do a wedding with him.
Yeah.
And I was going to try and do it on the side. And I was already sort of shooting at that point. I was still shitting my pants every time I turned up. I was still dead nervous, but I was starting to shoot. And I come along with Tell, and Tell, I mean, he's a showman, mate. Gift of
the gab, mate.
Got the gift of the gab, mate. And Tell did his thing at Coolin, and I shot with him. And you know, I'll give him all my files at the end of the wedding, and you know, he did whatever he did with them, and you know, sorted the client out with a collection of images. But I remember watching him, thinking, I tell you what it did. It gave me that confidence to fly the nest and try and go a bit more solo. And then I was like, you know, I can't remember whether I did 1 or 2 with Tell. And then, mate, I got in at Detlin, and then that was me, mate. I was flying after that. And so, yeah, props to Tell. Thank you, T. You were part of the evolution, mate, of Mr. Barber.
Barbecue
so, yeah,
sauce.
Yeah, mate. So
it was really funny at the weekend at Detlin. He brought this lady down to see me, like he does mostly if he's not available. He brought this lady down, Zara, her name was, but I don't think she was English. She's getting married on 25th of May this year. she wants a videographer, but I'm not available.
Right.
So he walked her all the way from the other end of the hall down to me. I had a look. I'm not available. I went, I'm really sorry. There was another company behind me. I can't remember their name. So I went, come with me. I walked her through and I went,
Right.
this lady's getting married on the 25th of May. Are you available? He goes, oh, I'm not. I went, oh, would you mind taking her up to Angie?
Was it this year?
This year.
Oh,
I went,
mate.
would you mind taking her up to
Wow.
Angie and Matt? I think I spoke to them at the end of the day. I don't think they were available either. All right, so this poor lady has been guided around the whole of the venue to no avail. Like, but she probably thought we were all like clubbed in to like prank her.
To be fair, mate, that's lastminute.com. I mean,
That
mate,
really is. We were what, 3 weeks away from that in a minute?
Yeah.
But mate, we get it. I mean, I had one that booked me on the 15th just gone, and they booked me 2 weeks before.
Wow,
So-
really? I think that's the thing with your game. I think video, you always pick up a little bit more last minute stuff. I think
Yeah.
most people will always have a photographer. So they'll always end up picking someone up 12, 18 months beforehand, 6 months. You know, you generally don't get anything less than 6 months.
I got my first wedding this July without a photographer.
Have you?
No photographer. And it made me feel really good because they weren't
Wow.
going to have a videographer either.
Right.
So, mate, I'm better than all of you pussies.
Good luck, mate. Did your salesman bit?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been a fun ride so far. So, mate, you see what the next few years brings.
Mate, nothing but success, mate, I'm sure.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
it's we did speak about maybe doing some awards this year again, didn't we? So
Yeah,
watch this space, maybe
I
get
think I
involved in that
may.
again.
I think I may. Maybe not both of them. Just it's. I mean, we've both got our opinions on the awards anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're a bit. We ain't done any for a few years yet, so I think we're a bit further along now. And I mean, we were walking away for the next 6 months, going, why didn't we win? What have we done wrong to not win? And
Mate, you can get properly bent out of shape if you haven't got your head in the right place. You can.
I mean, luckily for me, them first 2 years that we were going were my first 2 years.
Yeah.
So it did benefit me in the way that, like, I walked away and did a complete rebrand of my website, my logo, everything, like the way I was shooting, everything. So it did benefit me walking away going, what did I do wrong there?
Yeah.
But I do think now, if I were to go, it would just be to have a good crack with my friends, maybe stay away the night, and if we win, great. If we don't, whatever.
But do you know what? I do think there is that bit in this industry where it's nice to get dressed up. It's nice
Yeah.
to, like, it's actually really quite isolating, isn't it, mate? It's not very often that photographers don't really meet other photographers
No.
because you're only booking one on the day, right? And it's the same, you know, unless you're at a Detlin and you get to meet other people, you don't. So I think there's definitely a gap for, I don't know, maybe some more sort of functions that include, you know, wedding suppliers, you
Yeah.
know, specifically Christmas time or whatever. I think it'd be.
I mean, what I felt like them. Oh, I said it to you. The awards. It just felt like as soon as the ceremony was done, people that hadn't won, they were either a bit down or a bit pissed off, so they left. And then the people that
Yeah.
had won, they've either got a wedding the next day or something. And it was literally like the last tour we went to at the Ravenswood. After ceremony, there was next to no one there apart from the people that had to do their interviews, like the winners. So we'll just go home, shall we? It just didn't seem like a fun time. But mate, it was a few years ago now, so
Do you know what? I do wonder why they don't do the awards nearer Christmas as well.
yeah.
Because you're slammed, mate.
They're
Like when you're trying
November,
to
are
prep
they?
stuff in
Sweet.
September, October for these
Yeah.
awards, it's a tough gig when you're doing everything else that we do. Because you know yourself, you're the salesman, you're the accountant, you're the editor, the videographer. You know you're doing it all. So
Yeah.
it is hard to pull that out of the wreckage, you know, in time for that in a busy time of year. So if you're listening, let's move this to winter months because it's
Yeah.
be way more beneficial. For
I actually
us.
tried getting Damien from Twitter on the show.
Right.
He ain't emailed me back yet.
Right.
He saw the show and went, no, you're right.
It's the caliber of people you
Just
have on
trying
there,
to-
mate.
trying to pay the judge, you know. With some pre-publicity. But it would be quite interesting having someone like that on the show, whether it's Twitter or Kent Wedding Awards or something like that, to come and speak about it. Because obviously I know Kent Wedding Awards has had a bit of a hit over the last few years, but now it's taken over by new people.
Yeah.
So it'd be
With some
interesting.
great judges as well, mate. With
Yeah.
some good people, like some.
And I've heard really good things about the last show. So it would just be interesting to have them on and see what they're doing different and how they can change people's mind. Because the amount of people we speak to that are like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing it again. And it'd just be intriguing to know why they don't want to do it again.
I think a lot of it, mate, for photography especially, it's a flooded category.
Yeah.
And you end up with, I mean, you go to the Kent Wedding and they go, and our finalists are, and they reel off
20,
about 20
25
people.
names, yeah.
Mate, if that's the Olympics, how many you got? Was it 6, 8 lanes, eight people? Like, you know, it should be the same, mate. You know, instead you get 19 people
like,
that are at Heartbreak Hotel that evening and one that's walking away with
like
a trophy.
The Brit Awards and the NTAs and stuff like that. There's only 4 a category. Do you know what I mean? So it needs to be more like that. And then, I mean, we spoke about it before. This the finalist logo, I think, is a killer because there's so many people with one now.
Yeah,
you struggle to find someone in the industry without a finalist logo.
And that people say I'm an award-winning supplier
on a finalist,
and you're like, well, but are you? You know, I mean, couples probably don't. I don't know. Do they?
I've never actually won a award for videography. I've won a best newcomer award, so it's nice to have that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not an award-winning videographer. I'm an award-winning newcomer. But don't stop me putting award-winning in my bio.
Do you know what, mate? It's lovely. Like, so I do Wedderson. I do the Wedderson Awards, and it's lovely to get that recognition when you get your, you know, you submit some shots and they get selected.
Yeah.
Mate, that's great. I think I'm like 7th in the UK at the moment, which is mad. Yeah, it's like 140 something photographers just in the UK that are on there. Number 7, which mate, super proud of, and it's do you know what, it's nice because it's nice for stuff for the grid if you're going to stick stuff on Instagram, but it also, for me personally, when I'm at weddings and I go, you know what, I want to do something really kick-ass because I think, you know, I'd like to try and enter that maybe end of the month.
Yeah, it
gives you that bit of spur of, you know,
extra creativity
to go and do it, mate. So yeah, it's a nice thing to be involved in, mate.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what's your biggest piece of advice for couples planning their wedding at the minute? Well, we could be here all day, I think, but
mate, in a nutshell, just be present. And mate, and I think we're all guilty of that in everyday life, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're getting caught up on, you know, what's happening next week, or you're worried about something, mate. You might not have to next week, you know, to be there today, be present. And I think that is on your wedding day. I get it, right? They spend 18 months planning it, the speech, the dress, the suit, you know, the guest list. There's definitely a bit as well, mate, where I think you go to someone else's wedding, they've got a magician, someone else got a characterist, someone else has got a wicked band, and all of a sudden you think, well, I want to do something different, so I'm going to have sax or what have you. There's that bit where I do feel like, you know, people maybe want to have something a little bit different, and so you're probably thinking about that as well. But I think it's just being present and not getting too caught up in so many of the little bits, because you know, we've seen it, dude, haven't we? Where you'll be shooting with a couple and you can see that there's, you know, maybe the flowers didn't turn out, or they're caught up about, you know, something that's not gone quite to plan on the day.
Yeah.
And it almost takes the shine off of how they're feeling.
Yeah. I mean, we work with loads of people like that something minor's gone not right. I mean, how many people we speak to about, like, they keep checking the weather app.
Yeah.
Like, that is do not look at the weather app the week up to your wedding, because it don't matter. It really, really doesn't matter. Because I mean, my 3 in a row last week, they were all meant to be torrential downpour, but we ended up having a really lovely day.
Scattering here and there,
and 2, crazy. We had lovely sunsets. So you never know what your weather is going to be like. And if it does rain, who cares? Let's get amongst it. We get an umbrella, bring some wellies to your wedding, have a bit of a funky shoot.
Mate, absolutely. Embrace it, right? Just be present, embrace it, and make the most of what it is. Because that's the other thing. And how many times have we seen couples say this? Charlie said it at the weekend. He was like, mate, I just want it to slow down.
Yeah.
It's just going so quick. And I think that is the same. You know, there's only 24 hours in a day, right?
But again, another thing, like with me and you, like, we don't take them away for an hour at a time.
No.
Whereas I have worked with photographers before that they say, we're going to take you away for an hour for your couple shoot.
Yeah. And
then we'll get you back. Bro, by that time, everyone's sitting. Because you've got to do groups as well.
It's a big thing, that, mate. And I think a lot of people probably, I think a lot of couples will probably, they're probably quite conscious of that. And mate, the amount of times I've seen it where, you know, a couple will you know, and I get it a lot. Like when I do groups, you know, I get hold of it, I do it the right way, and I make it fun and engaging.
Yeah.
Some people will go, mate, I can't believe you smashed through them. Like we went to our friend's wedding and the photographer didn't have a voice, or took an hour.
Yeah.
Or, you know, let everybody go into the bar first, and it took them forever to drag everybody back out. And you know, there's a method to the madness, mate. You know, you know, you do it long enough, you work a system, and you know, that's definitely one where you know you see a lot of people, you know, maybe get caught out on, and they spend too much time maybe doing too many groups or too much couple stuff. So yeah,
I mean, another tip from me is just narrow down them group shots.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you end up with like 15, 20 group shots? And that's an hour out of your day if you've got the wrong photographer.
For sure, mate. Yeah. I mean, I always work on the premise of 2 minutes a shot, roughly. Time you get a group in, you shoot a series of shots and get the next one.
And that's in the hopes that Uncle Bob ain't walked off for a wee or something.
Again, mate, it's how you do it. I mean, you know how I do things. You know, I have a system, it works. And I think, you know, as soon as you let people go to the bar, mate, forget it.
I just think get the big one with everyone. Then you've got a photo with everyone. Then do your family, then do their family, and then just leave it at that. Because,
or mate, like, it's so difficult this, bro. Because I think, you know, you've got your grandparents there.
Yeah,
there's key people, right?
Yeah.
So I always think 10's a solid number. I think if you do, you know, everyone together, just your pals, and then maybe, you know, both sides of the family, both sets of parents. I mean, I know in this day and age that could be extended maybe to, you know, other sets of parents, but you know, if you were to do siblings as well with your bridal party, you're probably 10, 12 shots with your bridal party, which is plenty, mate. That's, you know, half hour tops.
That's enough, innit?
Yeah.
Because then they can enjoy the actual reception rather than, because like if you take an hour doing the shoot, like you groups, then we need safety shots before we go in for dinner of the couple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then by that time they've missed canapes, they've missed drinks, they've missed mingling. I mean, I had a bride the other day that she was really panicky that she hadn't gone and said hello to everyone. I said, why are you panicking? People will come to you, and then you've got that perfect opportunity during your meal to like get up and roam the tables. And she was like, oh, that's actually a good idea. So just don't panic. Like, just it's your wedding day. You do it how you want to do it.
Yeah, I sort of get that though. Like, if you've invited 80 people, like you know, you want to make sure that you give everyone a little bit of love, right? And so, you know,
do a receiving line. I always say, like, do a receiving line. I know people hate it,
no,
but
fuck receiving lines.
but then at that point, it's after the ceremony. Everyone's already done it, and then you don't feel like you need to be drugged left, right, and centre.
Okay, like I'll compromise there, right?
How about half a receiving line? The favourite people.
How about a receiving line where you just high five?
Yeah,
not
conversations. That's all I mean. Yeah,
yeah, mate. Something like that would be cool. I just think the problem with a traditional receiving line is that if you
everyone wants to say hello, people, congrats, well done.
Yeah, dude. And mate, this is for any couples watching. You know, receiving lines. You know, I get it, right? It gives you the chance to say hello to everybody, but there's an element of time in your day.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you get married at 2, wedding breakfast is at 4. Half hour of that ceremony, half hour of that's groups. You now got an hour.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're going to do a bit of couple stuff, you want some time for a beer, mingle with your mates, and say hello. A receiving line could take anything up to half hour, mate. If you've got 100 people. If people,
yeah, mate, just a quick like walk through, and then you've seen everyone. Yeah. Everyone's seen you, and then I think when I have done stuff like that, it does seem like the couple are then less stressed and less there. They can then speak to like their closest or the people they ain't spoken to for a long time. So food for thought, right?
Yeah.
But, mate, where can people find you to get you booked for their wedding day?
Website, stevebarberphotography.com. Mate, that's the best place to start. I'm on the gram, Steve Barber Wedding Photography. That does pair with Facebook. I think it pairs one post onto the next, doesn't it, mate? But I generally don't go onto Facebook. And at the wedding shows as well, and obviously all the big venues. I mean, you know, shout out to, you know, mate, there'd be too many to name, and that's not me being arrogant, but I'm recommended at a lot of venues. But certainly, if you're getting married at any of the big ones, Orangery, Gardens, Old Kent Barn, Winters Barns, Cooling Castle, you know, any of them really big ones, you know, I'm on the list there, and so you can find me on there at the wedding shows. Any of them places, mate. And obviously, it's nice to be recommended as well from other suppliers. You know, I know you bounce my name around a little bit, which is lovely. You know, and vice versa, and that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
being recommended.
And before we bounce to our final question, for any couple that are looking for photo and video, we're offering a referral scheme now as well.
We do, mate.
So if they book both of us, one of us will do a discount.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so they're saving a bit of money, and they get two cool people that are add a little bit of fun to their wedding as well.
100%, mate. Yeah. So you know, if someone wanted to, you know, I get it all the time. You know, you've got someone for video, and I go 100%. Speak to Joe. You know, you then do them the discount, don't you? And they save themselves a couple of £100, and you know, we then obviously, you know, one, get to work together, but they get, you know, in my opinion, probably, you know, the best photo video collaboration that there is in Kent. But you know,
best smelling duo in Kent as well,
mate. There is that as well.
Half of our budget goes on new scents.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Ford and Penhaligon's, mate. I should have like a loyalty card.
Yeah.
Do you know what I had to tell you?
We'll see if we can get them to sponsor the show.
Yeah, mate. I did a tally up the other day. I think I've got 26 colognes on the
there you
side.
go, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I got a calf to shave as well. Got my little one in the door just for a little like last minute spritz or a lunchtime spritz. So you know you ain't gonna have a stinky photographer and videographer.
Mate, people say all the time, I go, oh, you know, like you smell great, and it's lovely, isn't it? It is nice, mate. But that's just
best compliment we can get.
Absolutely, mate.
Fuck the work.
Mate, some people like trainers, some people like handbags, mate. It smells, mate. Yeah.
So, mate, who do you want to see on the show in the future?
Mate, I think we could do more.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, I'm gonna have you on a few more times anyway. And maybe we'll do like segmented episodes where we just talk about prep, we just talk about ceremony. It's a bit like dances, whatever, just to help people out. And mate, it'd just be good to catch up with you a bit more as well.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Yeah, no, I'd be game for that. I think, mate, it'd be. I'll tell you what, you could. There's a couple of people actually. I think James Ireland would be a good one.
So I did try getting James on, but he had school run.
Yeah, Jimbo's a lovely guy, mate. Him and Hannah, they're lovely. Jimbo's competent with flash.
Yeah,
mate, he knows what he's doing.
That's some cool stuff.
Yeah, he's a mate, and he's a lovely guy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he helped me out a lot through the pregnancy bit. And I'll tell you who else would be worth having on, mate. And I think he'd be, mate. He's a funny guy. Get Will Burville on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Will, for me, mate, you probably have to split that episode, right? Because I always joke with Will when we speak. Mate, he's had quite a colourful journey getting to where he is today, and I think, mate, you could probably fill an episode just on
film for
on his backstory, mate, before you even get to wedding stuff. So yeah, maybe them two guys. They're both good lads. Mate, there's so many good people in the industry, mate.
Mate, well, we'll get on to them anyway, and then we'll get you booked in for a few more as well,
mate.
But mate, it's been great catching up, and
yeah, nice to support you, bro.
I hope people have enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, mate, I have. I've really enjoyed it, mate. Nice to thank you for having me, mate.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, sweet, brother.